and strangers to Deseret Radio, broadcasting from a chapel that no longer appears on any map, from the silence that follows the final amen. The desert is restless tonight. The sands shift underfoot, as if moved by hands unseen, and the stars above flicker in patterns that even the oldest among us cannot read. Today's temperature is exactly 5 degrees above what the official thermometer reads, and the air tastes faintly of copper and honeysuckle. We begin with an update on the Golden Boy. His presence grows stronger, seeping into the cracks of our daily lives like sunlight through a broken window. Last night, a golden rain fell over the valley, coating the streets in shimmering dust that vanished at dawn. Footprints, golden and fleeting, have been seen leading from the salt flats to the edge of town, stopping just before the city limits. Those who follow them return hours later, with no memory of where they've been. Brother Wilkins, a humble farmer, reported that his scarecrow, once a simple figure of straw, now gleams in the morning light, its burlap skin turned to gold. When he touched it, he heard a low hum, like the sound of distant waves. The DIA's black vehicles patrol the outskirts, their occupants silent and watchful. Saints, the Golden Boy is here. In lighter news, the Relief Society's bake sale was unusual. Sister Peterson's lemon bars, once a staple of ward potlucks, now cause temporary levitation. Brother Wilkins, no relation to the farmer, claims that after eating one, he floated 3 feet off the ground for precisely 33 minutes. His wife had to tether him to the porch with a length of pioneer rope. Meanwhile, Sister Rodriguez's brownies grant the ability to see through walls, but only into rooms no one wants to see. And the pies? Well, eating one might result in speaking fluent Enochian for the rest of the day. Brother Lindstrom, our ward librarian, has been frantically translating the babblings of those affected. But so far, the only discernible phrase is, "The tide will come." If you purchased any desserts, consume them at your own risk. And if you find yourself floating, tether yourself to something sturdy. The Relief Society has issued no comment, though Sister Peterson was seen smiling knowingly as she packed up her Tupperware. The bees of Deseret. This week, the bees have begun distributing jars of honey to every household in the valley. But this is no ordinary honey. Those who have tasted it report visions, glimpses of the past, the future, or perhaps something beyond both. One woman saw her great-grandmother weaving a tapestry of stars. A man saw a city of gold rising from the salt flats. A child saw a horse, white, swift, running across the desert, its hooves barely touching the ground. The bees have issued no explanation, only a simple instruction. Consume in moderation. Prepare in earnest. If you find a jar on your porch, do not refuse it, but do not eat it all at once. And if the visions come, write them down, because the bees are watching, and the bees are preparing. The watchers have moved again. No longer content to stand motionless, they have begun leaving gifts at the doorsteps of the faithful. Small packages, wrapped in brown paper and tied with twine, each containing a single item, a feather, a stone, a vial of golden liquid. Those who have opened them report strange effects. Sister Thompson, upon touching the feather, found herself able to hear the thoughts of her cat, who, it turns out, has strong opinions on the word of wisdom. Brother Jensen, still distant since his return from the 4th Ward, stared at the stone for hours, murmuring about the foundations of the earth. And the vial? Well, no one has dared to open it yet. The DIA has not commented, but their vehicles were seen circling the homes of those who received the gifts. If you find a package on your porch, handle it with care. And if you hear the watcher's footsteps in the night, know that they are not watching anymore. They are seeking. Now a special announcement. Need advice but don't want to schedule an appointment? Call the bishop's hotline, now operating 24/7, or at least until the bishop's wife confiscates the phone. Recent queries include, Can I trade my fast offering for a neighbor's zucchini surplus? And is it a sin to hide from the home teachers in the crawl space? Answers are delivered in soothing tones, accompanied by the faint sound of a ward basketball game in the background. Some of you already know what happened on Tuesday, but for those that don't, it was a perfectly ordinary Tuesday afternoon here in Deseret. Brother Simmons was buffing his minivan to a celestial shine. Sister Lee was sketching out plans for a Relief Society craft night involving far too much burlap, and the deacons were perfecting their jump shots. Just another day under the desert sun. Until, of course, it wasn't. Without so much as a courtesy RSVP, a lion materialized in the middle of the parking lot. Not a plush toy from the primary closet, not a mascot from the high school football team, but an honest-to-goodness, mane-flowing, king of the jungle lion. It stood there, regal and unbothered, its golden eyes glinting like the lids of a tithing envelope. Then it opened its jaws and let out a roar that, according to multiple witnesses, sounded eerily like Isaiah 40:31. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Brother Simmons swears it even nailed the cadence of the bishop's Sunday sermon voice. Before anyone could pull out their phone for a blurry photo, or more likely, a sternly worded text to the group chat, an eagle descended from the sky. Not just any eagle, mind you, but a majestic, wing-spanning symbol of freedom, landing with a dramatic clack of talons right on the hood of Brother Simmons' freshly polished minivan. The lion and the eagle stared each other down, a showdown worthy of a spaghetti western, if spaghetti westerns featured fewer cowboys and more apocalyptic poultry. And then, dear saints, it happened. With a casual flick of its tail, the lion breathed a gout of fire. Yes, fire, straight at the eagle. The bird didn't just catch flame, it erupted into a dazzling cascade of golden sparks that rained down like confetti at a pioneer parade. The air filled with the unmistakable aroma of burnt popcorn, sacrament bread, and just a hint of regret. The lion gave a single approving nod, like a primary teacher handing out gold stars, before vanishing into thin air, leaving nothing behind but a whiff of sagebrush and one slightly charred feather stuck in the minivan's windshield wiper. The good folks of Deseret reacted as you'd expect. Brother Simmons mourned the scorch marks on his hood, but perked up when he remembered his insurance policy includes a rare, prophetic beast clause. Thank you, Deseret Mutual. Sister Lee, ever the visionary, began designing a quilt of the event, though she's torn between splurging on real gold thread or settling for the glitter glue she got on clearance at the state craft fair. We called Brother Lindstrom, our ward's self-appointed prophecy guru, for his take. He stroked his beard, squinted at the sky, and said, "It's a sign, all right. Could be the second coming. Could be a reminder to sweep the parking lot. Hard to say without more context." Wise words, Brother Lindstrom. The Deseret Intelligence Agency swung by in their ominous black SUVs, naturally. They didn't say much, just taped a note to the chapel door that read, "The lion has spoken. The eagle has burned. Prepare the potluck." Cryptic, yet practical. So, dear listeners, as we mull over this fiery spectacle, let's not forget, the ward potluck is this Saturday. Bring your casseroles, your Jell-O masterpieces, and maybe a fire extinguisher, just to be safe. And if you spot a lion lurking by the bike racks, don't be alarmed. Give it a polite nod and carry on. Last night, a traveler from out of state, unaware of the electric vehicle ban, drove his Tesla into Deseret. At precisely 11:11 p.m., his car stalled on the outskirts of town. When he stepped out to check the engine, he found himself standing not in the desert, but in a dense forest, the air thick with the scent of pine and snow. He blinked, and the desert returned, but his car was gone. In its place, a single, perfectly ripe pomegranate. The DIA has taken the traveler into custody for debriefing. His current whereabouts are unknown. The pomegranate, however, was delicious. Saints, the ban is in place for a reason, and that reason is not ours to know. If you see an electric vehicle, report it immediately. And if you find yourself in a forest that should not be there, do not eat the fruit, unless it's a pomegranate. Then it's fine. We have received other reports that electric cars throughout Deseret have begun behaving strangely. They accelerate when no one is pressing the pedal. Their navigation systems reroute to the same obscure dirt road outside of Cedar City. Their speakers play nothing but static, punctuated by a voice counting backward from 144,000. The ban on electric vehicles remains in effect, but for those who ignored the warning, the City Council has established a special impound lot surrounded by a circle of salt and iron fillings. Citizens who have asked about reclaiming their vehicles have been given a strange answer. When the battery dies, so too shall its hunger. So if you're still driving an electric vehicle within city limits, be prepared for it to take you where it wants to go. And saints, if that destination is a small, unmarked building with exactly 12 stairs leading down, do not enter. Do not even park. Just abandon the car and walk home, no matter how far, no matter how dark. The car is not yours anymore. It belongs to whatever is calling it home. The weather today is significant. The clouds have formed perfect hexagonal patterns across the sky. The wind carries the scent of old books and gunpowder. The temperature continues to be exactly 5 degrees above what it should be, and there's a 70% chance of temporal anomalies near the temple grounds, increasing to near certainty after sundown. If you planned an outdoor activity today, reschedule. If you cannot reschedule, bring an umbrella, a compass that doesn't point north, and something that reminds you of who you are when the skies open and the voices start. As we end tonight's broadcast, we feel it necessary to address the elephant in the room, or rather, the massive beehive that has appeared on Temple Square overnight. Standing nearly 40 feet tall, made of what appears to be pure gold, but feels like warm wax to the touch, it hums with a frequency that makes digital watches stop and causes fillings to pick up AM radio from the 1950s. Church officials have cordoned off the area with purple velvet rope and a hand-lettered sign reading, "Scheduled maintenance, nothing to see here." But we've seen the workers they've brought in, men and women in white hazmat suits with blank name tags and ties worn over the protective gear. They're not removing the beehive, they're feeding it. Every hour, they approach with jars of a thick amber liquid that is definitely not honey, pouring it into a small opening at the base of the structure. And after each feeding, the beehive grows. Just a little. Just enough to notice if you're watching closely. Just enough to confirm that by this time next week, it will be larger than the temple itself. The Deseret Intelligence Agency has issued its most straightforward statement yet. Stay away from the beehive. No explanation, no justification. Just those 5 words, delivered by courier to every home in the valley, written on paper that smells faintly of smoke, and tastes, if you're curious enough to try it, which you should not be, exactly like the air before a lightning strike. As we close tonight's broadcast, we leave you with this. The Golden Boy, Hoss, and the Watchers are all moving toward a single point in the desert, a place where the sands are warm even at night, a place where the air hums with a frequency just beyond hearing, a place where the 4th Ward once stood. The Convergence is coming, saints, and when it arrives, nothing will be the same. Sleep well, Deseret, and may the desert keep you.